п'ятниця, а отже, в черговий раз ми маємо нагоду зустрітися з вами в гарному товаристві, поспілкуватися на важливі теми для місцевого самоврядування в контексті європейської інтеграції і міжнародної співпраці. Мене звати Марта Супрун, я є експерткою з адвокації європейської інтеграції на місцевому рівні ініціативи Cities4Cities. Ми реалізовуємо цей проєкт в рамках шведської програми Polaris «Підтримка багаторівневого врядування в Україні». І сьогодні ми поговоримо про важливу тему, про те, як українським громадам навчитися відстоювати свої інтереси вже в межах Європейського Союзу. Сьогодні з нами чудова наша колега з Комітету CIVEX Комітету регіонів Наталія Доля, яка є координаторкою зв'язків з Україною та Молдовою. Вітаємо Наталію сьогодні, яка доєднується до нас. Маленьке технічне оголошення. Ми надалі будемо спілкуватися з Наталією англійською мовою, тому я заохочую вас обрати українську мову, під'єднавши функцію перекладу. Я сподіваюся, ви знаєте, як це зробити. На нижній панелі інструментів ви можете побачити знак глобуса або перейти в розділ «Більше» і обрати переклад, обравши українську мову. А для тих, хто володіє англійською, звичайно, сьогодні буде додаткова можливість потренуватися. So Natalia, welcome to our Friday with Cities4Cities. Today we discuss the Committee of Regions as an EU institution, which is truly the voice of local governance in Europe. I remember my first time coming to this big and shiny institution in the heart of Brussels. And I would say that I was impressed not by this bright and shiny building and the number of people who are there and its work, but with something else. I remember the meeting room and there was an opportunity to exchange between Ukrainian mayors and representatives of Committee of Regions. And the only thing that struck me most was that in the room we had the mayor of big metropolitan city, we had the councillor of some small village council somewhere in the mountains, like in Germany. We have different representatives of big rich regions, and then some other regions I never knew of. So this equal opportunities to raise their voice in European Union is something that really impressed me. So I'm really very happy that we have today opportunity to discuss with you what is the Committee of Regions and how Ukraine actually can already now cooperate with you and raise its voice on the European level. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Marta. Good morning to everybody, and thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm keen to explain to you the best I can the Committee of the Regions, which is also rather new to me because I only joined the institution in March this year.
Great. And I will also encourage our participants to write questions, comments, anything you wish in the chat, and Natalia and I will try to respond and to involve as much as possible so that we have really a very lively discussion today in the morning. So when, Natalia, when it comes to these equal opportunities, right, the Committee of Regions offer, what is the value base of it? So what is in principle the Committee of Region as an institution?
First we need to establish the key facts. Okay, so the Committee of the Regions, yes, indeed, it is an EU institution, and it is a very young institution. I mean, relatively young. I mean, it only exists. It was created in 1994. It is a very small institution, okay? But it is still an EU institution. But I mean, I can tell you that not all, even colleagues across the other institutions, they do not know very often about the Committee of the Regions and what does it do. But it is an institution and it has a role to play. And the key role, it's political. So it is composed of the members. So we have 329 members in the Committee of the Regions who are elected politicians at the local and regional level. So it is mayors or the presidents of the regions who are actually nominated by their national governments. And they become members of the Committee of the Regions once it is also approved by the European Council. And they come to Brussels occasionally. So it is not their main job. Okay, so their main job is still to be with their city and region to deliver what they have to deliver, but they are obliged also to come to the plenaries, to the meetings in Brussels, where do they take interest in order to promote and advocate for the interest of the local and regional authorities. What it is important is that, I mean, EU is a policy-making machine, right? So whenever these policies are being made from the side of the Committee of the Regions, we really need to make sure that the needs, the interest, concerns of the cities and regions are taken into consideration. And it is when we... so what is the core business maybe of the Committee of the Regions is that we advise, right, on the policies. We issue opinions. This is how it is called. Okay, so let's say, for example, the European Commission annually they publish enlargement packages to assess progress in accession of the countries such as Ukraine and Moldova and the Western Balkans, and then we issue an opinion to provide recommendations and our own assessment of what has been done at the local and regional level, how decentralization is progressing. So that would be an opinion. And another thing that the Committee of the Regions also does is that, which is also relevant primarily for Ukraine, is our work on enlargement beyond the opinions. And for that, we do have cooperation frameworks, or you can call them also dialogue frameworks, which are called either the working groups or the joint cooperation, joint consultative committees with different candidate countries, depending on where we are with them in terms of the dialogue and intensity of it. We meet. We discuss specific issues. It's about exchanging best practices. It's about, again, monitoring decentralization related reforms. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but you should know, 70% of EU acquis, of EU legislation, is implemented at a local level. So for any candidate country to be able to be prepared for EU accession, it means that local and regional authorities have to have the capacity to implement the EU legislation. So this is what the working groups and the joint consultative committees are doing. Maybe last thing that I can mention at this point is subsidiarity. I don't know if any one of you knows what is subsidiarity. It is a very strange word, but it is at the core of the EU jargon, and it is also at the core of the EU institutions, the way the EU actually works. And the Committee of the Regions is a watchdog of this subsidiarity. And what it means, maybe in simple terms, is that each level of government deals with what they can and the task that they can handle. So what can be dealt at the local level should be dealt there. And only if it is not possible to address specific issue at the local level, then the next level of government steps in and then they address it. So this is what it is. So that we do not want any other institutions to basically overstretch their work and go into the space where really they don't need to be there, because actually at the local level it is much better solved. So let me stop for now here.
Thank you, Natalia. So you mentioned two very important formats of cooperation with different enlargement countries, as a working group and a joint consultative committee. And this is something I really think that we are not discussing quite actively in Ukraine so far, because we are in this, turbulent period of EU integration, but in times of full-scale war, which complicates a lot of things. Of course, I know that just recently you had the meeting of the working group in Prešov, that different members of the Committee of Regions came together to discuss issues related to Ukraine. But what is the principal difference between the working group that exists now and the joint consultative committee that will come sooner or later in our relations with the Committee of Regions?
Okay. So yes, the working group maybe on Ukraine. I mean, that is what it is. We need to kind of think about the title, okay? The full title is the European Committee of the Regions Working Group on Ukraine. So in principle, it means that it is the working group that we have created ourselves, I mean, by the political decision of the Bureau of the Committee of the Regions, because there is strong interest to engage more with the Ukrainians, to understand more what's going on at the local and region level. And that is why they create this working group to have this stream of work. And then, of course, they take this working groups as an opportunity to invite different speakers, I mean, be it the experts, but primarily, of course, the representatives of the associations, of the local and regional authorities of Ukraine. I mean, it can be also specific mayors. We also take this opportunity to bring, for example, the EU institutions who can hear what are the needs at the local and regional level, also update us what they're doing in support of the local and regional authorities. So this is how the working group kind of works. And with Ukraine, it was the 10th meeting in Prešov. Yeah, you referred, it took place on the 28th of November. And in terms of discussing, it can be various political issues, but this time, I mean, we set the agenda a little bit, okay? We also hear bits and pieces we follow the news, whatever catches our attention, we put it on the agenda. So in Prešov, it was the decentralization reforms, also in view of the work of the Congress of the Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe. We also discussed the Ukraine Recovery Conference, kind of starting to understand where do we go in between the 2025 in Rome, the outcomes, and what we can start shaping towards the URC 2026. And the last outcome of the working group in Prešov was the so-called 10-point support package for Ukraine. It was developed first when the war has started, and we are treating it as a living document because, of course, situation is evolving in many different ways, and we took the opportunity to update it at this meeting in Prešov so that we are in touch with the realities, and we also kind of set ourselves the new objectives, the new priorities, the new targets, as I said, I mean, in the run-up to the URC 2026 and beyond. So coming back to your question also between what is the difference between the working group and the joint consultative committee. JCC is established. I mean, this is the short version, yeah, Joint Consultative Committees, JCC. It requires a political decision that both sides would like to have a joint consultative committee. There has to be a formal request that comes from the candidate countries. Then the Association Council, the Bilateral Association Council, in this case, between Ukraine and the EU, has to give a political green light. And there was a request already from Ukraine that came in, and the Association Council did give the political green light earlier this year. And now the European Commission is working on the legal basis in order to have this joint consultative committee established. So once it is done, it will be a platform for more equal engagement. So it will be composed of members of the Committee of the Regions, an equal number, as well as an equal number of members from Ukraine. those would have to be again nominated by the government, like a little bit following the structure of and the process of how it is done for the members of the Committee of the Regions. They are nominated, they take interest in specific work. So this would be done also from the side of Ukraine. So we would be reaching out to the national government. Please nominate who will be members of the Joint Consultative Committee side from your side. So, and they would have to be elected mayors or elected, presidents of the regions. So we would have to respect the gender balance, and then it would be together, you know, the members would be coming together to set the agenda, to exchange views, and it will be a stronger body in terms of how we can reach out to the other EU institutions or to the Ukraine donor platform in order to push again for the interest of the local and regional authorities.
Thank you. I would also like to share my own experience talking with associations of local governance in other candidate countries, like in Western Balkans, for instance. You already have several GCCs actively working with these countries, and I would say that this is a really very important opportunity for many mayors, local councillors, and representatives of regional authorities to come together with Europeans and to discuss different important topics with regard to EU integration. And there are plenty of issues, from environmental chapters to procurements, regional policy of EU. So as you mentioned, 70% is there of EU legislation that have practical impact on a local level, and there are much of the topics to be discussed. You also mentioned this package of support to Ukraine, which the Committee of Regions has now issued, like the new version of this package. I personally have been in many situations when Ukrainian municipalities tried to pitch their project ideas to the Committee of Regions, either officials or members. So let me put it, it's really straightforward. Can Committee of Regions finance projects directly to support Ukraine?
Yes, I understand money is always important. Unfortunately, no. The Committee of the Regions in itself, we do not have any money kind of for budget, significant budget resources available at our disposal. So the support package that we have, I mean, it is more of a political support, okay? So that is what we also need to understand. But the political support is can be used if we are doing it in a smart way to be able to advocate for additional resources for specific programs. And the more we discuss with the Ukrainians, the more ideas we can have, and the more concrete ideas we have, we can include, for example, including in the Joint support package, when discussing during the working group, when discussing during the alliance. We have not yet touched on that, but we will talk about it later. So there is another structure that we have for engagement. And these ideas we can then pitch, okay, to the European Commission, who has the money. We can also reach out to the EU delegation and try to see if we can give this traction. So this is where we a little bit come in. But I mean, in terms of the support, we can have some pilot projects, but again, it is about by partnering with those who do have money or with the specific projects. For example, we do have like a flagship project with You Lead with Europe. It's a big project of projects who is supporting, I mean, the key focus of there is local and regional authorities in different, going in different directions. And we have partnered with them to have a project to support peer-to-peer exchanges, to support partnerships between the European cities and the Ukrainian cities, with the focus on specific priorities. it is doing very well. I mean, we did it already in 2025, and now there is a new window in 2026. And actually, there should be a call for interested Ukrainian cities sometime early next year. So, yeah.
So, what would be the criteria for selecting Ukrainian municipalities to participate in this Tips for UA program? Because really, like over 1,000 of Ukrainian municipalities do not have municipal partners abroad, and there is a strong need for more connections. And of course, this is an internship program which is not aimed at partnering itself, but it could stimulate exchange, and it could be the first step in establishing really useful partnerships. What would be your recommendations? How to join this program, and
Probably
who
it's better
has
to,
chances?
I mean, you lead with Europe. I mean, they would know better, how to explain this. And I mean, we will invite them to the next meeting of the Alliance to tell us a little bit more about this kind of new call for Tips for Ukraine. What I need to say is that opportunities are limited. I mean, there will be only this many Ukrainian municipalities who would be able to partner. So there is a bit of a competitive base. Then it depends on the number of hosts that we have on the EU side. The criteria, I do not entirely exactly know, but I mean, what really helps to build a good partnership is that you need to be motivated. You need to already reach out and broaden your networks as much as possible, and use Tips for Ukraine as a tool to support and implement the partnership that has been already, for example, in the pipeline. And to be very clear about what would you like to achieve with the partnership. It's not about, signing some sort of a memorandum of understanding and having a photo opportunity. I mean, of course, this is always great, and especially for the politicians, but in order to make it meaningful, there has to be specific priorities. You need to know your partner. You need to also be interesting to your partner. So when you come with the content about what you want to achieve, why you want to partner with that specific institution, I mean, this is what kind of the base for developing a successful and sustainable partnership.
Thank you. And you also mentioned the alliance which was established at the Committee of Regions to support the reconstruction of Ukraine. And I personally attend the meetings of the alliance, which take regularly, and it's really a very useful source of information for me about different other opportunities. Is there still an opportunity to join the alliance? How to do this practically? And maybe a few more words. What is the core value of being the member as you look at it?
So the full name of the alliance is the European Alliance of Cities and Regions for the Reconstruction of Ukraine. It is an initiative of the Committee of the Regions. I mean, we are acting as the secretariat, but an alliance is an alliance. I mean, it is many members coming together, whoever is keen to and is already playing a role in support of local and regional dimension of the Ukraine's reconstruction. So those who are committed, those who contribute, those who feel affected at the local level in terms of the damages that have been inflicted. So, and who aspire for the EU integration, I mean, and supporting Ukraine's efforts. So they're all welcome, kind of to join the alliance. So far we have 85 members, more or less, somewhere there. And also, in view of the Ukraine Recovery Conference, which is going to take place in Poland, I really want to strengthen the voice of the alliance further by also getting even more members on board. So what we are planning to do is that we're gonna try to send a call, a new call, encouraging once again to consider joining the alliance. You can also consult already the website. We have updated the website. with the exception of the partners bit, I mean that we have technical issues which will be addressed, but the website, the revised version is on. And as I said, I mean, we will be sending out the call, and I will be liaising with the Cities4Cities, with all those existing members of the Alliance, in order to spread the word among the networks. For what is in it, what is the Alliance in itself? So the Alliance meets at a working level once every 1.5, 2 months, more or less. It's online, and people join, and we invite those who can present interesting information, explain interesting initiative, present the projects, present the needs. So, for example, I mean, we had experts at some point to talk about environmental damages that have been inflicted by the war. And then we had some projects presented that help to Ukrainian cities to reconstruct in a sustainable way. So kind of matching the two. Next week, we will have a meeting on the 19th of December, I mean the next working level meeting, and there we will use it as a stakeholder consultation on the opinion of the Committee of the Regions on the enlargement package. I spoke about it at the very beginning. So we're using the structures in order to really make sure that we consider the Ukrainian voices, I mean, at the level of the cities and regions. So kind of it goes in different directions. We are also open to suggestions on what could be useful to be discussed. So it's not, so I mean, we a little bit kind of define the agenda ourselves for now, but we always encourage, I mean, please, if you have concrete ideas, if you have good speakers, if you have specific proposals, please reach out to us. We do not want to dictate. We really want to make sure that this platform is as useful as possible. And the Alliance also meets at a political level once per year. And the key objective is to develop and adopt concrete recommendations to the Ukraine Recovery Conference. So, for example, in 2025, when the recommendations were adopted, there was a strong focus on partnerships, okay, at this level of the cities and regions. And we were very happy to see that one of the outcomes in Rome was the European Partnerships Hub, which is, again, funded by You Lead with Europe, who do have the money, and implemented by the Congress, by the CMR, okay?
Just maybe to clarify that CMR is a kind of an umbrella association of all local governance associations in Europe, right?
Yes, indeed. Sorry. Thank you, Marta. Very helpful. I'm still also lost in between all these organizations and associations who play a role. And for example, another recommendation that we had is that we really want to make sure that Ukraine Donor Platform, which again has the money, okay, that they also consider in a much stronger way the needs of the local and the regional authorities. For example, they do have a dialogue with the civil society. They do have dialogue with business, but not with the local and regional authorities. So we want to fix that, okay? So now, once we had the recommendation, we reached out to the Secretariat of the Ukraine Donor Platform, and we are now trying to develop a concrete proposal to use the alliance, the political level of the alliance, to be a channel for dialogue with the Ukraine Donor Platform. Let's see if it's going to materialize, but this is the idea that we have at the moment.
Let's come back to the working level of the alliance. Really, I've learned many important issues, including public investment management reform, first at the sittings of the alliance, and then from the voices of the government of Ukraine. I mean, this is really a very useful opportunity to learn some first-hand information, truly. And Natalia, we have also a question in the chat from Aliona from Bereslav municipality. about participation in these online meetings, because I regularly see that there are several Ukrainian cities and other municipalities participating in the alliance. Is it possible to listen in and to have this access to information, what is being discussed in the alliance, and practically how to do that for Ukraine?
You need to join the alliance. You need to join the alliance. I mean, it is simple, okay? There are no obligations in terms of, fees, or that you really have, you're going to be obliged to join every single meeting or anything else. I mean, you need to express interest, to join. I mean, it would be good to have a formal letter. I mean, honestly, myself, I would have simplified the procedure, but we are trying to keep the alliance as a club. We also need to continue counting the number of members. So the more, the stronger, So when we also go and talk to our political leaders, we will say, okay, in the alliance, I mean, let's say we'll have 200 members and they include this and this and this and that. So it also helps us basically to reinforce how we can promote and give stronger visibility to the alliance itself. So I would encourage everyone to join. As I say, it's just a simple letter, and then you can decide for yourself. You will be included in the mailing list. You will receive regular information about the meetings, what is on the agenda, and you then decide whether to join or not. Okay. And what I also, for me, it's very good to hear that you believe that it is useful source of information. And I think this is what we want to have. But we also want to, from our side, we want to see more engagement, because sometimes, I don't know what is the reason, but not many people take the floor. So I don't know if it's because it's the virtual format, maybe people are shy, but I mean, we shouldn't do it. When you want to kind of engage with the EU and to make sure that your voice is heard, you need to talk. You need to talk. And if you don't talk, then write. I am there, my colleagues are there. We're always open for ideas. So please do not hesitate to reach out. This is what is important. By talking, by exchanging, we really develop strategies, ideas about what we can do better.
Absolutely. So, I think, Natalia, can we share the official email of the Alliance where this letter could be sent?
Yes, it's on the website even. It's support Ukraine at dcur.europa.eu. So it is on the webpage of the Alliance.
Yes, so I think another important issue that needs to be mentioned is that you really need to speak English to be able to participate fully in the meetings of the Alliance. I don't think that European Union will adjust to Ukraine so far that everyone in EU learns Ukrainian language. So this is really very important for all of us to upgrade a bit and to be more proficient in English, and then more opportunities will definitely open. I would also like to come back to this 10-point support package, which you also mentioned. We have covered some of these points already, including Tips for UA program, including European Partnership Hub, also the working group on Ukraine and the future Joint Consultative Committee. But what interested me most as a very nice tool, I think, is the Young Elected Politicians program, which is implemented by the Committee of Regions. And actually, I already know several Ukrainian local councillors who participated in this program, and this is really an outstanding opportunity. What exactly is this program about, and how to participate in it?
So yes, it's one of the key initiatives of the Committee of the Regions in order to build the next generation of good politicians who are accustomed to how the EU works. So it is kind of a network of young politicians who are no older than 35, and they do have a mandate already at regional or local levels. And so it there are calls on an annual basis, and the selection process is ongoing. I guess also depends on the motivation and whatnot. And then once you are selected, you get to participate, to come to Brussels and be in different meetings and actually take the floor. I mean, yesterday, for example, I was in the plenary meeting of the Committee of the Regions, where actually the key topic of the next EU budget was discussed. And the key issue for us now as the Committee of the Regions, that actually there is a huge risk that cohesion policy, which is the key policy and funding where we get it from for the local and regional level, it's under risk. And there is now strong negotiations ongoing, a strong political push in order to save it. Because, I mean, regions were at the heart and are at the heart of the EU and of the EU integration and economic kind of powerhouse. If it's going to be again centralized and regions are going to be getting less money, it's going to be complicated. So what I wanted to say is that young elected politician took the floor. He was from Poland, also to say that how it is important for his area to get the money, for agriculture. And as a young, he remembers how Poland used to be 20 years ago, and how cohesion money has helped, to be where they are now, and that he's really concerned. So this is how it is, so it's in the plenary with the top leaders, with the members of the European Parliament, with the president of the Committee of the Regions. So they take the floor and they make themselves heard. So I encourage, if you know good elected mayors, if you please encourage them to participate, no more than 35.
So it's 35 each year across Europe, right?
I mean, they cannot be older than 35. Okay. In terms of the numbers, how many can be selected, I am not sure, but I know that since this program was open to EU candidate countries, and this happened in 2023. So to date, we have, for example, 11 young elected politicians from Ukraine who have been participating in different events. And then I think that they also built their own connections and networks with other young elected politicians, and it helps their way also in building the political career further.
And possibly also becoming the members of the Committee of Regions when Ukraine joins the European Union. Thank you. We have also several questions in the chat.
Sure.
Could also non-profit organizations like regional development agencies participate in the program, I guess? So, or is it only for elected representatives?
Are we talking about the alliance, or are we talking about the young elected politicians?
Oh, Katerina, please specify your question, because we are puzzled here. Maybe then another, in the alliance, right?
Yes, yeah, no, it is. As long as you kind of are involved in one way or another of supporting local and regional dimension of Ukraine's reconstruction, you are welcome to join. I mean, you a little bit in your letter, you say, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is the cities we work with, a little bit explain your work, and then, say that we are really interested to be part of the alliance. So then you join.
And I think there is also an opportunity to present something you do during the alliance meeting. So this is not only about big donor organizations that provide funding.
Exactly, like you're going to be presenting, Marta, next week.
Absolutely. Right. So if you are doing something useful that could be multiplied for the reconstruction of Ukraine, if you have developed your own projects, approaches whatsoever, I think it's possible also to present it and to address the alliance with the request to present your work in these alliance meetings, not just like at this is my municipality, this is the number of population, and something like that, but in a more constructive way. Everything that is related to reconstruction of Ukraine and that could be useful for a broader audience, right?
Indeed.
We also have the question about the Joint Consultative Committee, and this is like honey to my ears because people start to be interested in this topic. So, how do you think this Ukrainian representatives will be selected for participation into this committee? I know that in many ways the government of Ukraine decides on this issue, but given these values of subsidiarity, of multi-level governance, what would be the ideal setup for the delegation of Ukrainian local and regional authorities to the Joint Consultative Committee?
I mean, we need to follow a little bit also what has been done before, okay? And in line with the other joint consultative committees that we already have. So as I've said, I mean, we for now we're waiting for the legal basis, okay? Which is not something the Committee of the Regions can do. So we're waiting for the other institutions to give us, okay, here you go. You can start creating the JCC because legally it's all good. Okay. So once this is done, we will have to reach out to the Ukrainian mission, okay, to the embassy in Brussels. We will say, okay, this is what we have. Please let us know who will be our counterpart on the Ukrainian side for negotiating the terms of reference and who will be driving the process for selecting members of the JCC on the Ukraine side. Okay. Maybe, and it could be probably because for us also we need to have one interlocutor, right? I mean, we need to talk to somebody, and then it's for the Ukraine to coordinate a little bit on their side how they're gonna be managing the selection. So probably we might have to be negotiating with the Ministry of Territorial Development, right, and Community, so at the national level. But for the selection of the members, while it will be the business of the Ukrainians, there will be certain criteria that we will want to be respected, okay, which will be in line with how our members are selected and then appointed. So it is about political plurality. It's about elected, democratically elected representatives and politicians who hold a valid mandate, okay? So there will be a gender balance. So the criteria will be outlined, and then it will be about still the Ukrainian kind of government will coordinate who is gonna be becoming the member. So there will be probably some nominations. I guess they would probably reach out to some of, to the key associations, and then there will be trying to get the proposals and then some sort of a selection. So we will be a little bit kind of, we cannot dictate, we cannot control. Also, I mean, because I mean, the Ukraine needs to take the responsibility, but the criteria will be outlined. Okay, and more or less in this. And I mean, you can also, I mean, we hope we can include maybe something in this regard in the enlargement opinion of the Committee of the Regions, you know, to start giving a bit of a flavor. I mean, I don't know if, I don't want to preempt, but it might be in there as well, because we are getting a lot of questions about it.
Thank you. I think the important focus here is that these are elected representatives that should join this joint consultative committee. So that means that, for instance, if on the regional level, the administrations are like the governors are appointed, so then most probably this would be regional councillors who would represent regional level in this consultative committee, which is, I think, is really very important, but because in many of the like monitoring committees for European Interreg programs, we often have regional representatives that represent the government, but this is purely for local governance, and this is really a very important
Yeah, this is
circumstances.
definitely the intention. Let's see how long it's going, to take, for example, once, the negotiations inside Ukraine and the selection process is going to start. But I mean, that's from our side, full commitment, and we really want to be able to have the JCC sooner rather than later. Yeah.
In your 10-point support package to Ukraine, you also have a prize. So Mayor Pavel Adamovich Prize is one of the things. Or is it still there? Or it's something that the Committee of Regions does besides of that?
I mean, it's also kind of we have this flagship initiatives, okay? So young elected politicians is one. So it's kind of a bit horizontal, right?
Yeah.
And then we have this award of Mayor Pavel Adamovich. He was the mayor of Gdańsk who was killed. And in his honor, this award was established in order to kind of, acknowledge those mayors who either do something significant or they are kind of suffering because of their leadership and the way they do. So it is an annual, there is an annual call, and there can be nominations that can be accepted. I mean, very often we do get also nominations from the Ukraine, and then there is one big award. That is given every year, and then also some special mentions, for example. So in relation to Ukraine, in 2024, the award went to Vitaly Klitschko, and then there were some special mentions in earlier years of Alla Mironova, who is a mayor of Inhulka, as well as in 2022, it was to Alexander Babic, a mayor of Hola Pristan. So yeah, it's to acknowledge mayors. I mean, as you know, being a mayor is not often very easy. I mean, there are lots of abducted mayors as well. I mean, for example, also during the working group in Prešov, and also yesterday in the plenary, we saw a video of abducted mayors of Ukraine. I mean, and kind of this is also an award to kind of encourage and acknowledge and raise awareness about different challenges that the mayors face, or to acknowledge their contribution. So if you have outstanding mayors, keep an eye on this award process and do not hesitate to send the nominations.
So my first conclusion from today's discussion is that go to the website of the Committee of Regions, because really there are lots and lots of different useful information there that could be of help to reach out to European partners and to raise your voice in the European Union. You also mentioned we've been talking occasionally about URC as one of the flagship events Committee of Regions and Alliance take active role on. What are the other events around the year where Committee of Regions has outstanding role and that could be useful for Ukrainian local governance to reach out, to establish some contacts and to be heard?
I mean, the Committee of the Regions is all about events, It's about organizing debates, because this is how it's a convening power that we have to bring so many people together, national, local governments, EU institution, donors, partners, experts, in order to kind of really see what we can pick and take forward on specific agenda points. So for enlargement countries, and for Ukraine specifically, okay, yes, the main thing for next year is the Ukraine Recovery Conference. And for me, it is a bit of the stars are aligning, because I think maybe we can do much more on the local and regional dimension than before, because it will be in Poland, who has been they had the EU presidency not so long ago, and when they had it, there was really a big opening to this local and regional dimension. I mean, they really showed full support, and I hope that this can continue in the run-up and when the URC is organized. The second point is that URC might be even hosted in Gdańsk. And Gdańsk, I mean, the mayor of Gdańsk, she is a member of the Committee of the Regions. She used to be the chair of the working group on Ukraine in the previous mandate of the Committee of the Regions. She's like a strong supporter of Ukraine. And really, if it is going to be in Gdańsk, again, we can do so much more. So we really need to be creative, be coordinated with all our partners to see how we can really kind of multiply the opportunities and bring different pieces and have a full puzzle, local regional dimension at the URC 2026. So, I mean, I think we need to really have a good strategy for that, because there are many things to cover based on the 10-point support package and beyond. And I mean, and you, Cities4Cities, I mean, you're also doing a lot of work that is very useful and could be also highlighted in the URC. So now, in terms of the other events, the working groups and the JCCs of the COR with our candidate countries, they are organized twice per year. And once it is in Brussels. And when it is in Brussels, those meetings are held in the context of the so-called enlargement days. Okay, we organize them on an annual basis. So in addition to the working groups, we have this broader discussions about enlargement agenda, which is relevant to all candidate countries. So if you have an opportunity to come, please do. I mean, it's really kind of, for me, all these visits to Brussels, you know, you can be explored to build your networks, to understand how EU institutions work, to try and see if you can partner. I mean, you need to look for opportunities, and I think there are some projects also that do encourage and do acknowledge the possibility of actually bringing representatives of the local and regional authorities to Brussels. So this is one of the events. And then we also have this European Week of Cities and Regions, or actually European Week of Regions and Cities, which is this kind of, it's a huge kind of week, okay? There are so many events, there are so many people in Brussels, so many topics are being tackled. I mean, and last year we also, this year, the last edition of the week, we had, I mean, more than 5 events on Ukraine. I mean, including kind of working level sessions, some cultural events, political discussions. And it's really great. I mean, there is so much engagement going on. And again, I mean, because so many people are brought into the committee of our beautiful building. Okay, Marta, you said it. You also need to see it. So explore the opportunities, also propose the sessions, connect to the sessions. So that is another event that I kind of would like to flag.
Thank you. Also, worth mentioning that with the start of war, the Committee of Regions has offered the opportunity for Ukrainian organizations, mainly local governance associations, cities and regions, to have the office space inside the building of the Committee of Regions. What are like your personal impressions? Are we taking it like much advantage of it? Are we taking this opportunity to the full, or something could be done better?
I mean, I think it depends on the priorities, you know, of the cities and regions, whether it makes sense to have these or not. And also, I mean, probably it's not easy sometimes. I mean, some of the cities and regions are doing it like more for also visibility. So they do apply to have office space. And there is this launch. But I mean, there is nobody really who is permanently in Brussels. So they come occasionally, they do their outreach, but it's not there permanently. And probably not every city can afford to have a person, you know, in Brussels. So there is this possibility. If you and your city have clear objectives about also how you want to use this office space, I mean, you know, it's up to you to decide. I mean, it's a little bit for us, you know, it's kind of, it is there. But then you decide about how you want to do it. But I mean, you know, there are many regional offices by the EU, from the EU regions, right? I mean, they're in Brussels. So they do their networks, they build the connections, you know, they push their agenda, in addition to what we do as the Committee of the Regions and our members. So it is a bit of a support structure in terms of city diplomacy, you know? with the focus on specific regions. So it is a bit of that kind, but again, it depends on the capacity. I mean, not everybody, especially in these times, can afford to have a person in Brussels. But you could count on the Ukrainian community, right? Who
Yes.
are normally very willing to help and would be keen probably to support one or another city, especially if they come from that city. So maybe that is also kind of, you need to mobilize the Ukrainian communities in Belgium.
Thank you. And also one more important issue we haven't touched upon so far, but which also deserves much attention from Ukrainian local governance in the Committee of Regions website is the different analytical materials the Committee of Regions is issuing. And I see that there are plenty of materials that are on Ukraine topics. I see here, for instance, the capacity building for local and regional authorities in light of the Ukraine facility, Pillar 3. So you could also have some insights into other important initiatives and have some analytical materials. What are like the top 2, 3 analytical materials which are currently at the Committee of Regions website that you would recommend Ukrainian local governance representatives to visit and to explore?
So just to say that the Committee of the Regions, we do have money only for organizing meetings, but we also have some money to commission some studies. Okay, that is what we can do. And so we always can propose depending on the needs that are out there. So yes, indeed, there are a few studies that have been published that are relevant to Ukraine. Sometimes it is like really to take account of what is out there. Like, for example, we have horizontal studies on the division of powers, so which explains a little bit how the powers are divided, in different candidate countries. For example, then we had a study on the green transition to also understand what each of the candidate countries are doing, at the local and regional level. But then there was also a specific study on Ukraine that focused on Ukraine facility. As you know, this is the main funding instrument. And as you know, that we're trying to push also that really local and regional level, they do get funding and can access it. And there was a commitment, for the Ukraine facility, which was also a little bit, it was the result of our advocacy when the Ukraine facility was being created, to ensure that 20% is reserved for the local and regional authorities. I think it was part of the specific pillar, but still it was there. So we need also to control and monitor whether really Ukraine facility delivers on what it committed to. So this was the idea behind the study, to see whether indeed local and regional authorities have sufficient access and do benefit from the Ukraine facility. So that is one of the maybe more interesting ones. But although the experts did say that it was rather difficult to analyze, so it has some certain limitations, in the study. But we also tried to at least highlight some opportunities with the focus on the Ukraine facility and beyond, in order also to give hints and spread the word about where the cities and regions can look in order to consider some funding, where there is funding available. So there is like a leaflet on the funding opportunities. So it is all available online. If you don't find it, you let me know, and then I help you to find it.
Thank you, Natalia. I think this hour just flight for me so quickly, and because you also mentioned so many times that the Committee of Regions and the Alliance and the working group are focusing a lot on municipal partnerships as the important tool for the recovery, EU integration, and the Committee of Regions is also organizing networking events where also several partnerships were created. And of course, we have this, I would say, challenging situation so far when like all European municipalities who already expressed their solidarity to Ukraine already have Ukrainian partners, and we need to offer something else to European municipalities to expand this network and to get more European municipalities involved in solidarity with Ukraine, in partnerships with Ukrainian municipalities. For the end of our conversation, what would be your advice how to establish like stable, sustainable partnerships between Ukrainian and European municipalities, and what narratives could help Ukrainian municipalities to reach this goal?
Yes, I mean, I think that also based on the results of various discussions that we had this year, and also when we look at how the geopolitics are evolving and not going in a very right direction, and also with the EU being concerned even more about our peace and security, and a lot of political priorities now focusing on building resilience. And when we collaborate with Ukraine and also having in mind Ukraine's EU integration, I mean, there is a lot of scope now to move from the pure kind of solidarity, capacity building kind of narrative where the EU comes to help Ukraine. But I think now also with Ukraine, with this ongoing war, I mean, the cities and regions, they have accumulated so much experience, which can be so relevant to many cities and regions on the side of the EU. And it is in terms of emergency response, it is about innovation, it's about how to, use digitalization in order to handle the new kind of unexpected situation and in a very quick manner. So that is what Ukrainian cities also need to think about. It's kind of what can I offer to this or that EU city when I go and I ask them, to partner. Because it is, I think that the wish to help and to do support in terms of building capacity is there. But if it can be complemented with something, win-win, where it can make partnership only stronger. So that is what I want to say. And I know, Marta, that yes, Cities4Cities, you have been doing a lot of work in this regard. I mean, also trying to build the narrative using specific examples. And I really hope that we can make it more concrete, more solid, the narrative, and promote it as much as possible.
Thank you, Natalia, for this brilliant discussion today. I think this is the very nice final accord to our today's meeting, that it's really very important not only to have this voice of Ukrainian municipalities in Europe, but to have it strong, right? And to offer some strengths that Ukrainian municipalities could bring into this EU family. Thank you very much for this discussion. Thank you to our participants, and see you already next year with new edition of Friday with Cities4Cities.
Thank you very much. I hope, but it was nice talking to you and to see interest. And I hope many more cities and representatives that were in this meeting will join the alliance. I see many hearts, so